Hey, Robert. Matt Mayoko here. Have you gotten any word on DJ Jones and kind of what's your thoughts on if he were out for an extended period, the players you have to step in there in the interior line and pick up the slack?
I haven't heard anything yet. I know they're running more tests. We're just waiting to hear back from this afternoon. And as far as the depth of the defensive line, feel really good about it. You know, Kevin Street's been having a good start to camp. Saleh's been having a good start to camp. Obviously, we've got the rookie who's getting his legs underneath him, and there's plenty more. But we feel good about the depth and everything that's going on the inside part of the defensive line. Hopefully, DJ's fine, but we'll find out more this afternoon.
Hey, Robert, noticed that Nick Bosa wasn't in at the end of practice. Was that just a maintenance issue, snaps issue, or what was going on there?
Yeah, the performance staff has a plan for all these guys, so whether they pulled them just because his snap count got high is on them, but from all indications, he's fine.
Hi, Robert. It's David. On the radio today, John Lynch said that the current plan is there's not going to be any full tackling live to the ground. But he said that you guys wouldn't fully rule it out just in case you might need it with no preseason games. How do you feel as a defensive coordinator with this specific group of players about not having any full to the ground tackling? Do you think that you guys will be ready for week one in that regard?
I believe so. There's always that worry. They haven't been through it, but that's where, as coaches, we've got to do a great job of putting them through as close to a full tackling simulation as possible. Whether all the teach tapes we're constantly hammering about their tracking, their thudding up, form tackling, and just thinking about tackling, and putting them through circuits of keeping them conscientious of how we tackle, the way we want to tackle, the way we want to track players, so that way, as we get closer to week one, we are as close to tackle ready as we possibly can without actually ever having to bring our own players to the ground. Now, if coach decides otherwise, we'll be ready for that too. But as of now, we're approaching it as if we're not.
Robert, this is Chris Biederman. You mentioned Kentavious Street and Solomon Thomas. Obviously, if DJ Jones misses some time, those guys could potentially fill in there. How do you think those guys fit in potentially at nose tackle, given that maybe it isn't their natural position and they are a little bit smaller for that spot?
You know, our nose over the last couple of years has evolved a little bit, where it's not necessarily like the nose everybody remembers of, the Vince Wilforks or, we've, not that he wasn't an athletic individual, but he was a massive human being, where our guys are a little bit smaller. They're almost three techniques playing in that 2-eye spot, and we value a lot of speed, get off, and explosiveness over just gargantuan size. But we feel really good about their ability to play in there as long as they can hold up on double teams and they're not just getting displaced, which Saleh and Street have. Saleh, he's been in game situations where he's proven that he won't get displaced in there. Obviously, Street and all the other individuals that we have there. But we feel good about the group. We feel good about them being able to go do it. Saleh did it last year, and if Street continues to progress the way he's showing, then there's no doubt that he can do that too. So, but it's early in camp, and there's still a lot of things that got to that have to sort out.
Hey, Robert, it's Nick. Just any problems today with having to switch practice going early with the unhealthy air and all that? I'm just curious how that maybe affects logistics for you guys.
Give that to me one more time. I'm sorry.
The unhealthy air quality and moving practice up early, I'm just curious if the logistics threw anything off for you guys and what kind of concerns you have when you go into a practice when you're dealing with that.
No, you know what? The early concern was whether or not practice would get off, but I thought Kyle was unbelievable. Him and his crew, Nick Cray, the performance staff, and all of them, they did an unbelievable job just resetting the schedule, moving things up, adjusting on the fly. And when you got a group of guys that work together, so that we're going on year 4 now, there's those. I mean, I bet it went unnoticed to the rest of the people in the organization. So it's testament to those guys. They've always got Plan B in their back pocket, and players probably didn't notice anything other than a 30-minute change in time. So.
Hey, Robert, if I'm going to sneak in two questions here. One was about, I guess, Kinlaw's maybe a little closer to Wolf Fork as a nose tackle. What are your thoughts on him, playing in there? And then also, I know this time of the year, undrafted rookies with potential you may not want to say too much about, but let's say Darian Daniels has a little power to him. Just what are your initial impressions of him in camp?
I like Dorian. Darian. He's doing Daniel's doing a very, very good job. Like I said, it's early. We've got only a few days in the camp, and he's showing some good qualities. He's got a lot to learn with technique, consistency, and all that stuff. But it's a grind when it's a different technique than most of those guys are used to when they get here and they're under working with Kasarik and how he teaches, and so he's got a little bit of ways to go, but we are pleased with him so far.
Hey, Robert. Bosa yesterday said that it's been great for him to go against Trent Williams in practice and in one-on-ones. How valuable is it to have someone like that on the offensive line for the guys to practice against? And what have you seen from him? And what does he do to create such a problem for the defensive line?
It's what a treat for Bosa and all of us, really. You think about his rookie year, he had Joe Staley, who's an All-Pro, and now you got Trent Williams, who's also an All-Pro, and they're two completely different styles, but both incredibly gifted at their positions. And then on the other side, you got McGlinchey to work with, and it's it's the old cliche of iron sharpening iron. I mean, it's a really, really talented group on the outsides with both defensively and offensively, and those guys are grinding every day. I mean, Trent gives them a look that they're not going to see all year because he is a freak athletically, and some of the things that he can do, it's just going to make it easy on game day. And same thing with Mike and the way he's showing up on the other side. And he's leaner, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more stable, and so our guys are getting all the work they can handle with those two tackles, and it's good for both sides because I'm sure they're thinking the same thing.
Robert, what did you see from Jonathan Cyprien in your 3 years with him in Jacksonville that made you want to bring him here to this situation? And exactly what is his situation here with it? You got some young safeties who are on the rise. What do you expect out of him?
Sip at Jacksonville, sometimes I feel like you can be underappreciated because of your draft status. They expect a little bit more out of you, and we always felt Sip was a very good football player. And I think our last year there, his last year in Jacksonville, he was well over 100 tackles. I think it was inching towards 130. So he's been a productive player. He knows our system. He's in great shape. He moves very well. And the expectation for him is to just come on in and compete. If he's you're never going to restrict roster spots and all that stuff with numbers, but he's a talented football player, and his ability to come in and compete and push guys and do things, it's you can never have too many good football players, and he's a good football player. And it doesn't say anything about the men in the room in terms of what they've been doing, because they've all been doing a great job. It's a very, very talented safety group, and so it's just another piece to the puzzle to see how we can get a little bit better.
Hey, Robert, just wanted to get your thoughts on Kinlaw as a possible nose tackle. I know that's not a huge leap just because he's already in there, in the interior, but is that a spot he could play? Yeah,
the way we teach our D-line, with the exception of a couple of guys, they've got to know all four spots. They've got to be able to, Kasarik says it's like 4 quarters on the dollar. You throw them all out there, and they've got to be able to play whatever position that they're thrown out there to do. And so Kinlaw's getting 2-eye work. He's getting some 3 technique work. Saleh's been at the 3 and the 2. Street's been at the 3 and the 2. Daniel's 3 and 2. So they're getting a lot of versatile work. And so when the time comes, you continue to train them appropriately, and it's no different than a linebacker. They all got to know the Mike. They all got to know the Will. They all got to know the Sam. And so, because you never know when the situation might arise come up where you need them in those positions. And it's the same thing with the way we teach our D-line and train them. To answer your question, absolutely. He can go down there and play 2-eye also.
2 more for Coach?
You mentioned Street a couple of times. To us, he looks totally different than he did a year ago. What are you seeing from your eye in terms of his progress, his difference from 2019?
Playing with a little bit of confidence. There was you know, when you're coming off the major injury he had and going through all the different things that he had going on from a physical standpoint, the confidence of just letting loose and trusting that you'll be okay is different. He's not thinking. You can tell that in his play, he's not thinking about it. So he's playing a lot faster. He's playing with a lot of confidence, and he's able to use his power and his strength and all that. The weight room stuff that we've seen and the stuff that we saw in college is kind of coming to fruition, and he's just got to maintain it now. You know, it's continue to stack day after day, continue to build confidence, and hopefully things keep going in the direction they are. He's worked his tail off to get to this point, and so whether it's here or somewhere else, I just want him to succeed because of the work that he's put in is unbelievable.
Robert, last time we spoke to you, you mentioned that the competition at cornerback opposite Sherman was wide open. What have your impressions been of that competition so far, and how much do you rely on what you already know about some guys, just given the fact that they've played pretty extensively in the system?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're really competing. They're doing a great job helping one another out. It's a selfless competition over there. Mosley has picked up where he's left off. He looks fantastic. Spoon's looking like he did during OTAs and training camp a year ago in the first 4 games of the year, so he's competing his tail off. And Verrett has a new confidence to him. Dante Johnson's in there competing his tail off. Tim Harris, people forget about him. He's getting his first true training camp. God, I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but they're really doing a great job competing and trying to take advantage of every single rep, you know, and just owning their personal moments. And when their time comes to get those one-on-one situations or be on the football field, you can tell there's a deliberate attempt, which for all of them it's always that way. But they're locked in, they're focused, and I really think they're enjoying the heck out of it. So it's fun to watch and just fun to watch them pull each other along and root each other on while at the same time competing.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.